Welcome to Tig's Bits. We are visiting with Bassmaster Elite Series rookie, Mr. Robert G. We're going to dive into his story from how he first fell in love with bass fishing all the way up until today when he is fishing at the highest level in tournament fishing. And of course, it's not going to be fishing in 2024 if we didn't discuss forward facing Sonar as well. So I'm giddy. This is going to be a fun show. Look, if you're not following us on social media, go give us a follow. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, X, Rumble, Instagram, and even Threads. We post on there pretty much daily and having a blast interacting with you guys. So, look, don't forget that we also have merch, and you can get that at tigsbits.com. Just search under merch and go help us out. Have had a few folks lately pick up a little bit of that merch, so much appreciated. Y'all go check it out. But before we jump in with Robert, let me welcome back, as always, my esteemed co-host, Mr. Blossy, the one-man posse. What is happening, Brother Chad? Are you coming to us live from Props again?
Absolutely, I am. Absolutely, I am. And sorry, we're having some technical difficulties here at Props Studios here today. Like the internet's a little bit slow, so we're going to do our best to hang in there as long as we can. Hopefully, the whole time, and it'll all auto correct at some point. Better than my auto correct on my phone, which is absolutely killing me these days when I send text. But no, man, it's good to be here. We are here. I actually got a good little. They went through a full process with me from tip to tail on how they brew beer here, and I can't wait. I'm going to do something one day where we're going to get with the master brewer here, Ben.
Yeah.
He's going to walk us through this whole process. It's so cool, dude. Like to watch them do all the stuff that they do here. So I got a little insight on that earlier today as I was setting up. So can't wait to do that, but glad to be back here from Props Brewery. It is trivia night here. This is the final round of trivia for the season, and so they keep tabs throughout the year with your team, and tonight there's teams battling for the championship. So we've got championship trivia going on here tonight at Props.
Big night at Props. Big night.
Big night.
What team? What place is your team in, Blasey? Because I know you have one fielded.
I do, yeah. So I work with the team back here off of my left shoulder here. So this is Fish On. That's our team, and so
All right.
we're sitting third in the standings for the season, and we're kind of struggling tonight. I helped them out with the first round, and so it's a little tough. It's a little tough. I missed a couple of national parks. I missed a couple of country songs, and like who the artist was, I couldn't believe it. But Little Texas, I just forgot about Little Texas. I couldn't think of them. A couple of other ones, like one or two. But we're okay. We're still in striking distance. They're taking a break now, and so they'll come back. I think my team's going to finish strong. So
I believe in them. I believe in
do
you.
too. I do
more
too.
importantly, and I think y'all will be just fine. But speaking of Fish On, without any further ado, we do need to bring in our guest.
Yes,
Man,
we do.
I'm so pumped for this. I can't wait to tell the story of how this is even happening. It's an honor to have him on. Bassmaster Elite Pro, Mr. Robert G. Robert,
What's up?
welcome,
How's it
man.
going?
Oh,
Thank y'all
man.
for having me on.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir, man. Thank you for coming on. It is quite the honor. Man, I've been talking to Robert. He's just getting back from the Bassmaster Classic. We're going to definitely be talking a little bit about that. I've got to hear what his experience was. Blasey, are you familiar with, I know you know the Bassmaster Classic, but are you familiar with how big that expo is that they have every year?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, no, sorry. You're breaking up a little bit. I am not familiar with that expo and how big it is. But, let's introduce me, but I am not. I am a neophyte when it comes to that.
Perfect. That's a perfect place to start then.
Yeah.
We will we'll definitely, let's just start there, man. Let's talk a little bit about that, and then I want us to dive into kind of where you got started with this whole journey. But, yeah, give us a little recap on the Bassmaster Classic and what all you did while you were there, man.
So it was so I just got to work the expo the whole time. I didn't get to fish any at all.
Right.
So the lake Grand Lake it was on was an hour and 40 minutes from Tulsa. So I never even saw the lake while I was there. But that Bassmaster Classic Expo is literally the biggest fishing expo for the public every year. Like every fishing company in the country has a booth set up there in a convention center, and they have products there for sale for all the fans of Bassmaster and everything like that. So basically,
Right.
what I was doing was I was there at my various sponsors booth: Yamaha, P Line, GSM, which is Yamamoto Baits, Big Bite, Bill Lewis. I was there working, signing autographs and stuff like that, meeting the fans. Just it was a great time. It was my first time working one of those. I've been a fan of the sport for a long time, so I've got to go and experience that from a fan side.
Right.
But this was my first year working it, so that was really cool.
Dude, it's always just I have more fun going to the expo than the actual weigh-in and all, which is fun. I love all of
For
that,
sure.
but you get to talk to all the pros, you get to talk to folks like you know, and run into everybody, see demos, see the latest equipment, just all of that stuff, man.
Yep, the
It's
latest and greatest is always there. So, and like I'm still a fan of the sport, and I walked around and got some new things that are coming out, and
you
spent a little money. So
geeked out a
yeah,
little bit while you were
oh
there.
for sure, no doubt about it.
How could you not? How could you
Yeah,
not?
for sure.
Have you ever fished Grand Lake? Have you ever fished
I
that
have
lake?
not.
It
I have not.
seems like it was tough.
Yep, it did. I was expecting it to be a little bit better because I've had a lot of friends that's fished there, and it just seemed like it was a little bit off the week we were there, which has kind
Yeah,
of been how the classics have gone the past couple of years. But
right, exactly.
I've fished a few lakes in Oklahoma, and it's usually a good state. A lot of 3 plus pounders, but I was surprised it was kind of tough. But the wind didn't really help
Yeah,
out. The wind was blowing real bad the whole time I was there, so
right.
it's tougher to fish when it's like that.
It makes it super tough. Makes it super tough. Well, we'll kind of circle back to that, but I want to go. What got you into this? Like, where did this begin for Robert G? First of all,
Hmm.
let me before we jump into that, I have to say, this is how Robert is how we met, how he and I met was I was at Toledo Bend, and we've talked about this on our Bassmaster Elite. We kind of did a recap show and all that stuff. But I'm at Toledo Bend. Robert had pulled up, and he's in the top 10, doing well. I think it was day three, day two, and he comes in. He had a sack. I'd been watching him, so I was just standing there to see what he was going to pull out of his live well. I knew where to go. I mean, I'm from there, so I'm
Wait,
standing there, and I
Brantley,
just see,
I'm going to interrupt you. Is this
yeah.
the guy that you started talking, like his mom started talking to you?
Yes, this is
Okay,
him.
keep going. Okay, I see. Robert, I didn't even know this. He told me
Hey,
the
yeah,
story. He was so excited. He was so giddy. He was like, beside himself, like a kid in a candy store. But
Hmm.
yeah,
continue on. All right,
I
yeah.
was.
All
It's
right,
so
thank
awesome,
you.
and I love your mom, Miss Joy. So
Yes,
I'm
sir.
standing there watching him pull up, and I hear this little voice like, "I'm gonna stand behind you, so my son can't see me." And I, and I went, okay, that's fine. Who's your son? And she started pointing at him, and I went, okay, yeah, well, hey. I went, oh, okay, well, he's had him a good day today. That's why I'm standing here. I want to see what he pulls out. And so we just hit it off and started visiting, and then just kept. I was still over there doing something else. I ran into her again, and then ended up talking to Robert, and she, thanks to her, that's why he's on here. True, full disclosure. She's like,
That's
yes,
Oh
awesome.
he
yeah.
will come on your podcast. And went, okay,
That's great.
you don't have a choice now.
Okay, Mama.
Oh
All
yeah.
right,
She's
Mama.
never met a
Whatever you say.
stranger.
I believe that. And I didn't, because, as you know, being up there, there's no cell service, or it comes, it goes, it's spotty. So, and I wasn't able to watch a lot of live. I was able to watch some, but I didn't see the weigh in because I was there. But apparently
Hmm.
during the weigh in, they had her on the first day. Your mom was going cutting up, and everybody, yeah, she's not. Everybody knows who your mom is on the tour.
For
There's no
sure.
doubt.
Oh yeah. No
But it's
doubt
a
about it.
good thing.
That's awesome. That's actually super cool.
Well,
Yeah.
I love it that, I mean, that's the number one driver in this sport, and I think you would agree that if you don't have a family, your family behind you, if they're not with you, then you can't do it. You just
for sure.
can't do it. Whether it be if you're married, your wife, your kids, your mom, your dad, your parents, and you seem to really have that support system in place, man.
No doubt.
Yeah,
Can't thank them enough. They've always wanted me to chase my dreams, and I am. So they've
so
never said anything bad about it, and they've just always supported me like that.
yeah, they didn't kind of ever make you like that's a pipe dream, man. Like
Sure.
of course you want to be a professional bass fisherman. Everybody does. But you got
hmm
to live it. You're here. You are. I mean, you're doing it. So where did this start? Where did this whole journey begin, man?
So it all began when I was around like 2 years old. So I've always grown up around the lake and everything, and my grandparents have and my grandparents and my parents have a lake house side by side in the mountains of North Carolina. So when I was 2 years old was when I first caught my first fish. I don't really even really remember it. I just have pictures to document it. Just on the dock down there with crickets catching like crappie and bluegill,
Yeah.
and just from there, I always loved fishing. Like every time we went over there in the summertime, and I stayed with my grandparents a lot growing up, just because they lived over there on the lake. And my grandpa was a big outdoorsman. He was a big fisherman, hunter, coon hunter, the whole 9 yards. So I always grew up in the woods with him, and he would take me fishing. And every Saturday growing up, when from about 5 years old to when I was really getting into like bass fishing competitively, I would go fishing with them on Saturdays, um, just for anything that would bite with live bait,
Right.
like
Yeah.
minnows, night crawlers. We would night fish with night crawlers for walleye. Just getting bit was the thing. Like
Right.
we're gonna go catch fish to have a fish fry,
Oh
like
yeah.
that's really what got me into it was just catching them and catching them to eat.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Heck yeah.
I really didn't get into like the competitive scene till I started getting the bass bug when I was like that in 10 years old range because I'd caught a few really big bass like by accident, honestly. And it was just awesome to reel them in and seeing them jump, and that was just where it started from there. And started specifically going for bass when I was like probably 12, and from that 12 to 16, I was just consumed by like watching Bassmaster on Sundays and everything
Yeah.
like that. And that's when YouTube started going and Bassmaster putting their old tournament videos on YouTube and just watching those, just really getting the fundamentals of bass fishing down. And I would just go to my neighborhood ponds and sneak on the golf courses and fish the ponds before I get kicked out. And just
Yes.
with my buddies here in Knoxville, and a lot of good memories doing that. And then, so we had a boat growing up, like an old glass stream, like a 1990s glass stream boat with like a 115 Johnson. And that was my boat growing up, as well as a little John boat I would take out because it didn't have a 10 horsepower, and I could go by myself on the lake. But that's when I've always been around boats and fishing out of like making my own decisions where I was going to fish, right?
Yeah.
But when I got 16, I was really wanting to fish a tournament because I never had before. Like nobody had ever taken me. So the first tournament I ever entered was me and my buddy who was also 16. And I fished out of that. At the time we upgraded a little bit. We had a 2003 Triton 18 footer with a 150 Yamaha on it, and I was 16 years old, just barely could drive a truck, and we fished.
That was a major upgrade, by the way, from
I
that
Yeah,
believe.
first boat. Major
yeah, for
upgrade.
sure. And I mean, but I did have graphs with maps at the time. That was
All right.
really the only thing. I mean, I had 2D and side scan. It was the first HDS Lowrance
Okay.
sevens that came out, the Gen ones,
Yep.
and I didn't know how to use them. I was 16. Like, I mean, I knew the pros had them, and I knew I needed to learn, but
Yeah.
I was basically bank beating at the time, flipping and cranking because that's a big thing where I live is cranking. So that first year of tournament fishing, we joined the club and fished every Tuesday and Thursday night. We never won any tournaments that year because we were still learning, and like
Yeah.
all the old men had all their honey holes, and we placed a few times. Got I think our highest finish that year was second, which it was so fun just getting money at the end of the tournament, and that's really
Dude,
what.
Heck yeah, it
when
was.
you're 16
Yeah.
years old and you're going against those sticks and you're
Mm-hmm,
competing, it pisses them off, dude.
for sure.
I had some experiences like that when I was, or in my late teens, early 20s, and they were some guys that just like they didn't want to help you, for
Oh
sure,
no.
and and they you were on your own. You didn't get any help, and then back in those days, we would draw team tournaments, and you would draw their co-angler. I never got put on fish. I can tell you
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Me neither. Still to
No.
this day, like I can say I've always like all the club tournaments growing up. I always fished with someone that was my around my age. So it wasn't like I
Oh,
fished with like fish tournaments with like a mentor or anybody. It was
right.
all self taught knowledge, like
Yeah. Yeah.
trial and error, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So and
Well, it
at the
makes perfect
time,
sense. You know.
yeah, at the time
Absolutely.
when I was
Yeah.
16, like fishing in high school, I know high school was a huge deal. High school fishing is a really
Yes.
huge deal right now. And it's so big and it's awesome for the sport growing it. But I never fished a like sanctioned high school tournament. I started my
Okay.
basketball at my high school, but I played sports in high school, so I never really. I was a big baseball player, so that's all I did in the spring.
Right. Yeah.
I never had the
Now
time to fish those high school tournaments because I was playing ball,
you were offered
You were
scholarships,
playing
weren't
what
you?
now? Golf?
He
You're a
played
golfer?
baseball.
baseball.
Oh, baseball. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yes,
It,
sir.
it got a little loud in here. All
So
right.
yeah, and we had. I'm not gonna try to brag, but we were the best team in the state. Our
Yeah.
coaches
Nice.
the,
That's
the most
awesome.
winningest high school baseball coach or in the state
Oh
ever.
wow.
He has like 12 state championships, and
Nice.
Did
I
you
got
pitch or play
to.
first, or did you do
I
both?
played catcher.
Oh, you're a
Okay.
catcher. Okay, I can
I
see you
played
doing
yeah
something
Yep.
there. Yep.
Yep. Yep.
yeah I played catcher. Actually, I got to play with a few MLB All Stars in high school, which was pretty cool.
Like
And
who? Name drop them. Come on.
so I caught. I don't know if you know him, but he's the opening day starter for the Braves, Spencer Strider. I
Oh
was his
yeah.
catcher.
Heck yeah.
What?
Heck
I was
yeah.
his
The
Really?
big.
catcher in high school.
Holy
That's
cow,
crazy,
man.
dude. That's
That's
insane.
Yeah.
awesome. Well, that's
So
really
yeah, he's
cool.
one of my good buddies, and we graduated together and everything like that. But I
Wow.
played baseball with him growing up from when we were like 10 years old to when we graduated. And it's just
Holy
crazy to see.
cow.
I mean, I
That
bet
And
that
is
hand
nuts.
still stings, doesn't it? Thinking
yeah,
about it.
he definitely broke my hand a few times.
Oh yeah.
God.
He was throwing 96, 97
Uh,
in high school,
isn't that
but
crazy?
Holy cow.
it was
Uh,
I would say that he probably didn't give up a whole lot of hits. And y'all won
no,
most
he
of
did
those
not.
games.
Oh yeah, he did. He was. I don't think he lost one in high school, to be honest.
Probably not.
that's insane.
Those
That's crazy,
cats that
dude.
end up like that, they generally don't. That's amazing. He's done well. That's really cool, man. That's really
Yep.
That's
cool.
So
super
that
cool.
But
not a lot of people know that about me, but so yeah,
yeah,
I had baseball offers because, I mean, the height thing though. I'm only 5'7", so that kind of the D1 schools really didn't want to come after me because I didn't have the height that they were wanting. I didn't
yeah.
fit their category. But
But I bet you could throw them out at second off your knee, couldn't you?
okay, yeah, I had a good
Yeah.
arm and
Yeah.
I got on base a
Why would
lot.
that
Like
matter though? Really, at the end of the day, you're
I
catching
don't
and you're
know.
hitting.
I get.
I find that
I
crazy.
guess. I guess I didn't hit enough home runs for like
Yeah.
D1. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
have the
Yeah.
pop that they needed.
Yeah.
But so I got D2 and JUCO offers. But at the time, I had the bass bug, like the fishing tournament scene. Like I was fishing tournaments already, and I knew a guy from my high school that was on the fishing team at Tennessee. And I starting that year, I was like, I really want to just go to Tennessee and fish on the fishing team. So, and I'd been watching the college fishing thing for a few years, and I know like Jordan Lee and those guys
Mhm.
fishing in college at Auburn. So I was really looking to either go into Auburn or Tennessee if I didn't play baseball in college, just to go to be on the fishing team, since
Right.
I didn't have the opportunity to go to like a small school that gave scholarships for fishing.
Right.
because I knew I could go there and be on the team without
Yeah.
getting a scholarship. But I
Yeah.
could compete
Yeah.
against them. I'd be a walk on.
Right. Right.
So I ended up choosing Tennessee to go fish there because it was close to home and I could go take my boat out every evening and go fish, like and fish the local tournaments and just get better at fishing because I had a lot to learn. I didn't fish those high school tournaments because of baseball. So, and that's really when it went from 0 to 100 in my bass fishing, um, just kind of deal. That's when I started fishing every day and learning everything. That's when I started learning how to ledge fish and trust my electronics once I got to college because it was real big back then. It was side scan and
Right.
finding schools offshore. And I learned how to do that on an 18-foot Triton with HDS 7 Gen 1s.
Phew.
And just seeing the advancements that we've had today in electronics is just crazy. From
Yeah.
remember looking at those screens to now. But
How
that's
long ago
how I
was that,
learned.
Robert? How long ago was
That
that from
was in
college until today?
2017, 2018,
Okay.
28.
Isn't that
And
crazy? Just in a, like, you're talking about like a, 7 year time span, 6, 7 year time span. What's happened? But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I thought I'd bring
I
that up.
mean,
Yeah, that's crazy.
it's literally, and we'll get it back. We're gonna get into technology here in a little bit, but it is night and day. It's almost the equivalent now of what you're talking about 5, 6, 7 years ago is dang near like a flasher was in the 70s compared to a black and white 2D scan in the 90s. Like it's that kind of a leap, but in a 5 year span, it's nuts.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah, so
it's cool.
you didn't fish high school, then you go on and you go into college and you go to Tennessee and start to fish that. That is a question. What are some of the schools? Because I know that some of the guys, I've got a kid here in my neighborhood who had questions of how do you become an elite
Hmm.
angler. I know that your path kind of started there in college. How
Definitely,
I mean, what is some advice that you can give to some kids out there that are wanting to do that? Shout out Hayden Wallace. Um, what is some advice that you could give to kids that are wanting to go into that? What do they need to do? What are some schools where they potentially could get some full rides? I know Auburn is one of the ones that's pumped out a lot of these
for
pro
sure.
anglers that are out there these days.
Hmm. So a lot of the smaller NAIA private schools, their fishing team is a scholarship sport at their school. So they
Okay.
have their own coach and their own money they get allocated from the university to give scholarships for them to come and fish. So but that's basically you kind of got to get recruited from high school, do well in the high
Okay.
school tournament, you and your partner, and that's how you get into the scholarship realm of college fishing. I
Gotcha.
chose to do it the hard way, which was the walk on way. So I went
Yeah.
to a SEC, like all the SEC schools, big Division 1 schools. They don't recognize the fishing team as a real scholarship sport.
Like a
They-
sanctioned.
It's a
Yeah.
club sport, similar to
Right.
like the
Right.
hockey teams down south. So
Yeah.
it's similar on that realm. So they give you like $2,000 a year, and you got to raise your money yourself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that really helped me with the professional fishing side because for the 5 years I was in college, our team had to get our own sponsors and make our own relationships with sponsors
Oh,
to
you
get
learn how to
money
go out
for
and
us to
hustle,
travel.
hustle
Yeah,
from like a early, yeah, like from the get gate. Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's
so
right. That's
at
cool.
like a Division 1 school like that, it's really good training grounds to go straight into the opens like that because you don't have a coach telling you where to go or what to do, and a coach getting you the sponsors that your team needs and everything like that. So you got to fund yourself to get to the tournaments, and then learn how to fish those lakes without any knowledge, just by research on your own.
Yeah. I mean that's going to make you a heck of an angler because you are getting that feedback from your other teammates You know,
Hmm.
I would think y'all are all hanging out together, staying at the
For
same
sure.
place. You're gonna be chatting, talking. You're all really trying to get better. All of you are trying to get better in that environment.
No doubt.
It's just gonna make you a better fisherman. You're gonna learn a lot of stuff
It was,
because I don't think you can do it if you don't do it by trial by fire. You're out there doing
Exactly.
it
dude, you were basically a pro fisherman when you went into college. I mean, basically,
pretty
what you're
much.
saying. You know what I mean? You're out there
Yes.
grinding. You're out there trying to get your own sponsorship. You're trying to do everything on your own, right? Like,
Yes, I would compare it to like a, so you know how baseball has like single A, triple or double A,
yeah,
triple A. Like college fishing nowadays, especially if you go to like a Division 1 school where they don't like fund your program, it's
yeah,
like a single A professional fishing league because I
Yeah,
mean, we fished probably 10 to 15 tournaments a year, which were all out of state at bodies of water we had never even been to or seen. Huge
yeah,
lakes like Toledo
yeah.
Bend. We went to Toledo Bend in college, and Sam
did you?
Rayburn, and
Yep.
huge lakes like that. Like Florida, I fished anywhere from Florida, New York, Michigan,
Wow.
Wisconsin,
They
Oklahoma,
kind of they
Texas,
go to
Louisiana.
a lot of those same places that the elite series
Yep,
go, are the opens, the same, lakes, which I mean, I think that's a brilliant strategy to take the college kids and spread everyone out. You have to fish. You learn how to fish in the south. You learn how to fish up north. You learn how to fish all these different types of fisheries.
for
It's
sure.
just going to make you a better fisherman. I think that's what we're seeing now. The proof is in the pudding. It's you guys. I mean, look at the Bassmaster Elite rookie class this year. I think there are 9 or 10 of you guys that are rookies. They're all hammers, all of you, and I mean, it's going to be a dogfight to see who wins Angler of the Year, Rookie of the Year. Just in that, it's going to be
For sure.
crazy because they're all hammers. But it's a product of a lot of you young guys coming up in that system and in that environment, that training ground. It's made y'all as good as you are today. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, that is the only reason I'm on the Elite Series. It was the college series, fishing, going and fishing all those tournaments and learning just how to break down different bodies of water and just seeing all these different types of fisheries that weren't similar. Like if I would have just tried to fish all the BFLs and local tournaments at home, I wouldn't have learned an eighth of what I'd learned fishing in college, going all over the place, fishing these different lakes that I'd never seen, didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy. Like this year on the Elites, our schedule came out. We had a college tournament in my 5 years of college fishing. There, I think we have 9 events. 7 of the 9, I'd had a college tournament on.
Oh wow.
So it's
Wow.
not like
That's
that.
awesome, dude. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I've had,
so you had familiarity, even though you were there and you got to go in there and practice. You knew that place already because you'd been there and you'd done
yeah,
that.
just I
Yeah.
know a little bit about it. So it's like not
Yeah.
like I'm walking into somewhere that's completely new. So that's a cool thing about college. Like most of the places I've been in on the pro circuit, like whether it be the opens last year or the elites this year, I've majority like over 80% of the places I've been to before, fished very close and nearby to it, so I know a little bit what could go on. So
Right.
and that's just
Well,
thanks
that's
to
got
college series.
well, that's got to give you some kind of a sense of just ease your mind a little bit because
Sure.
you know where to stay most likely at some of these places. You've already gone there. That would take the nerves out of that part. The travel. I mean, we hadn't even got to all of that. It's amazing what you guys have to go through to I mean, on paper, it sounds amazing. I want to be a professional bass fisherman. I go out and chase these little green fish all day. I go to the weigh-ins, weigh them, and then I go on to the next gig. Yeah, it ain't that easy
Mm-mm.
at all. At all,
It's
it's a
like
lot of
it's like
lot of work.
rodeoing or something.
Yeah, or
You're
it's
basically a
just
truck driver.
truck driver, rock show. I mean, it is in a sense a rock show. Once it goes, there's
Hmm.
all of that stuff. It's what it looked like at Toledo
You get paid
Bend.
to travel and you fish for free. That's about the same thing, ain't
Yes,
it?
Yeah,
for
exactly.
sure.
It's exactly right.
Hey Rob, I got a question for you though. I'm gonna throw you off a little bit. So I'm
Okay.
curious. Like, dude, this is still like you're jumping into an event. This is a competition, brother. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care
Hmm.
what level that whatever you're doing. I don't care if it's football, baseball, basketball. You're about to jump into a competition. When you get into that, like, what do you do to get hyped up? Is there something you do to get hyped up, or is there something you do just to chill out? Music wise, do you have music? Do you have a routine there that you do? Like, you want to listen to something to get your mind right? How do you get yourself level to jump into that event?
Good
So,
question.
yeah, fishing is similar to like more of a baseball kind of strategy you have to play in your head. Like
Yep.
football, like playing football, you I always like to get jacked up and like real amped up, listening to loud music like rock or rap, and like
Yeah.
ready to go bang my
Yep.
head against the wall, kind of feel. But
You
fishing
get
is
it.
more of a like you have to be extremely calm and um, just have a clear mind, like really calm and just not the nerves can't get to you because you kind of got to be just very like I don't listen to any Mozart or anything like that, but I just kind of try to listen to some like either country or like more mellow stuff just to breathe real slow and so I can take everything in while I'm running down the lake. Because you kind of just have to slow everything down, or you can get real real spun out if you get going too fast.
No, no,
that
that makes
exactly.
yeah, that makes perfect sense. So you're actually let me ask you this. So that on that question, you're on the water. Are you listening to something to kind of channel yourself to get yourself into like a chill position so you're not, again, you're not panicking, you're not like getting, too excited. Like are you doing that as you're heading out? Are you listening to music?
Um, Sometimes, but most of the time, no. I'm just I kind of like to be more like with nature. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
no music, just kind of letting hearing the birds sing and
there
just
you
taking
go.
in the morning, like the
Yeah.
sunrise and everything like that. Just kind of try to be one with nature.
No, I get it. That makes sense. So I grew up playing a
Find
ton of
find your
golf when I was
zen.
young, and in golf to me would be like very because I fished a bunch growing up too.
Mhm.
Very very similar, right? It's just about getting yourself into an even space and like a really calm space. So you go out there and nothing takes you into a different. Like let's just stay chill, let's stay calm. Like no
Yeah,
matter
your
what happens,
mind clear.
let's get this thing going. That's it. Let's stay clear. So it's not like again football. You're trying to take somebody's head off, or
Hmm.
baseball, like
Right.
getting you bouncing around the room or anything. So yeah, that's awesome. That's super cool. Yes, sir. I would love another beer.
Yeah, I just try to stay calm and
I mean, that's really
be like that.
that's
You
what
know.
you have to do.
That's
I've
it.
wondered, that was one of the questions I had, is if you had any rituals or anything like that you do before. I always listened whenever I was fishing. I listened to Metallica's of Wolf and Man on the way to the lake, and
Of course
and
you
then that
did.
got me jacked, and I spun out in every tournament I ever
You were
fished,
throwing
pretty
two
much.
reels at once, weren't you? Too.
It's like
Yeah.
exactly, exactly, man. It obviously didn't work out for me, Robert. Here we are. I have a
It did. You
podcast.
became a podcast legend.
Exactly. Yeah,
Legend
in my own mind,
all the way to
maybe,
Chicks
but
Bits. That's right. That's right.
that's awesome. But yeah, so fishing that college career, you do that, and then you fish the Bassmaster Opens. You graduated just last year, didn't you? Or when did and then you fished the
I
Opens
qualified
last
last year. Yeah.
year as well. Wow, that
So
was the
yeah,
first year you fished the Opens too, right?
yes, my last year in
Wow.
college, they have a deal in the Bassmaster College Trail where if you finish in the top 10 in Angler of the Year in the College Trail, you get an automatic entry to the Opens, where that means like you get to enter into the Opens and get guaranteed a spot before the signups even are released to the public. And it's always a big deal, like the signups for the Bassmaster Opens and College Series like that. Like they're hard to get into. Like you have to be sitting there on your computer refreshing the page to sign up as
Oh
soon as
wow.
they open it, or you're not going to get in. Like a lot of
Wow.
people don't know about that. Like you got to be right there when the
It's
signups open.
like getting Taylor Swift tickets.
Yes, exactly. It's very
I mean,
similar to
yeah,
that. Like
yeah, yeah.
everybody wants to do it. So when I got that, I was like, I have to do this because like, because in college I've drove to tournaments, practice for 3 days, not knowing if I would be even in the tournament because I was on the wait list.
Oh wow, man.
So I was like, I know that's happened in college series, so it's definitely going to happen in the opens. So I have automatic entry. I have to do this now
Yeah.
because they give the top 25 in points every year in the opens automatic entry for the next year to come requalify. And so I was like, I got to do this. I got to find some sponsors to help me pay for this because this is my shot to get my foot in the door. And it just, I mean, going into it, I was giving myself 3 or 4 years to give it a try to make the elites, and lo and behold, 9 tournaments later, I qualified,
It's
and
amazing.
I was on nobody's radar. Like nobody would have expected me, but it happened.
The quiet assassin. I love it, dude. People know who you are now, brother.
That's awesome, dude. I mean, that's actually that's so badass, really.
It
Let's just be
really
for a
is, isn't
minute. You know
it?
what I mean? Like that's everything. Like you go out there, you do your work. You didn't listen to anybody else, and like because if you had listened to everybody else, you would
Yeah,
have just
they were
packed
all just
it
like,
up and left a long time ago, right? But
Yep.
no,
mm-hmm.
you listened to yourself. You knew what you were about. You went out there and you got it done, dude. Here you are today. So
Bet on
that's so
yourself.
cool, brother.
You
Yeah.
bet on yourself,
Yes,
man.
you did. Yep.
And that there's nothing that is better. That's America, man. That's the true story of what people love to
Oh, I see
hear.
it,
You know,
dude.
you
That's
paid your
everything.
dues, and
Yes, you
and
did.
you took a gamble on yourself, and it's paying off big time, and it's incredible to see. It really is. Uh, what would you say? I mean, what would you say has probably been your hardest obstacle that you faced through college and before now jumping into the elites? We're too early in the elite thing to really know what your obstacle, what that is at
Mm-hmm.
this point. But what would you say so far in your career of fishing has been the hardest, most difficult thing that you've had to go through?
um, I would say last year, like going from like being in college to try to tell all these companies, like try to just get my foot in the door with sponsors. Like I didn't know anybody to like really call them, but I was fortunate enough to ended up getting my entry fees paid for the opens and a little gas money. So that was pretty difficult. I didn't end up getting all that till like the week before I left to my first
Oh
open.
wow,
So
wow,
that was the hardest part, but then it just kind of unfolded from there. And
that's fantastic.
but yeah, like my first couple payments I paid for to get like sign up for the opens last year was literally the money I'd been winning in like the Tuesday and Thursday nighter out here on Fort Loudon Lake. Like
Okay,
that's basically what I was doing in college just to have money on the side is just fishing from March the 1st to October the 15th, in every weeknight tournament locally, and just putting my money in the fruit jar after that. You know what I mean? To try to
yeah, exactly.
fish the opens after I got out of college. That's what I was doing. Was just
Wow.
fishing every day.
That's yeah, that's what you got to do to get good. I mean, you paying those dues, dude.
Yeah, from like 2019 to 2023, I probably fished 4 or 5 days out of the 7 days of the week.
Oh
Even if
wow,
I went after class for 2 hours, that was my goal. Is just at least go out there and try to learn something or just get bit today. You know what I mean?
right,
Just so I can
exactly,
keep my instincts sharp and just just be dialed in, stay dialed in.
dude. I
Which is
totally
hard.
get it.
It's harder now once you're a pro. You got to go to all these events, like the
There's a
classic,
lot of
and you can't.
there's a lot of distractions. I would think you're not
Mhm.
just head down going from lake to lake and fishing. You have other obligations now that you have to fulfill
Sure.
with your sponsors and all of that stuff. It's a business. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I'm
know this,
still
but
getting
it's
started.
all a business. Every part of
Oh
it.
yeah,
The
absolutely it
fishing's
is.
probably the easiest part of the whole. Not it's not easy, but like
Yeah, it's
that's
Once
not
you get
easy.
probably the
there,
time that
that's when
you.
you let go a little bit.
Yeah.
Now I'm
For
just
sure.
fishing.
Yeah,
Now
Yeah.
I'm just fishing.
that's the most relaxing part.
Yeah, when
at
that's
least.
and that's the whole name of the game. That's what's amazing about that is that that's the most
Uh, that's
relaxing
it.
part of it, and yet it's the show. It's the whole
Rob, let me
show.
ask
Mhm.
you a question though. It's like you do this for a living. Like when you're out there, I know you're competing, and I know it's like it's grind, and it's like getting cast in, and it's all this. But I'm just curious. Do you still enjoy? Do you still enjoy yourself when you're? Do you feel like you're fishing? Like you know what I mean? Or do you feel like you're just out there like a machine trying to do this and trying to get reps in? Like, or do you actually still enjoy the action of fishing? I'm just curious. You know.
Um, yeah, I still enjoy like catching it. Like that will never get old. Like I still get
Catching never
to
gets old. Catching never gets
yeah,
old.
No,
that's the thing that I'm like addicted to. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
yes, but like
I know exactly
going
what you
out
mean.
there, like, but I go sometime most of the time to like these new lakes we're going to and just stand for 3 days and not make a cast just to try to find like break down the air. That's a little that's not that fun. You know what I mean? But it's just
Yeah.
something you got to do to
Yeah.
be able to compete against these guys that's fished these lakes for 30 years.
Yeah.
I I think that's a good segue into talking about what happened whenever you fished your first Bassmaster Elite tournament on Toledo Bend. You know
Hmm.
how did you come to Toledo Bend and find those fish that basically that you found? And I have some clips. I'm going to show some clips of some of the amazing footage of his fish catches and what they showed on Bass Live in the moment live. They had his live scope screen. We can see him catch these fish, and we're going to get him to walk us through that. But I want to
Hmm.
go back. So your first event, your first pro Bassmaster Elite event is at my home lake of Toledo Bend, and I was pumped to finally get to go up there, be around the Bassmaster again. 'Cause it's been a few years since they've been in Louisiana, and so so I get up there and all of that fun stuff. You guys had been on the lake for a few days practicing.
Hmm.
When you come to Toledo Bend, how do you break that lake down? Where do you begin to go, and then how do you narrow it down to where you found your fish? Because I know exactly where you were fishing in some of those
Hmm.
areas. It's I could watch it. How'd you find those fish? Because that is not where tournaments are usually
Yeah.
won, where you were
So
catching them.
so basically, I came there in 2023 for the Open we had, and I'd never been to Toledo Bend before that. Like we had the college tournament there, but I had a big exam that week, so I couldn't go
No.
when we were going to go there in college. So I never got to experience it. And we had more days of practice down there in the opens. So, and that lake is huge. Like everybody had told me, like, oh, it's a big lake. Like, don't get spun out. Like, kind of keep yourself within one little area and break that
Hmm.
part down.
Yeah,
But in practice last year, I was all over the place, like
it ran it from top to bottom.
just running around like crazy, burning
Yeah.
gas. And that's one thing I realized this year. What I can't do is just running all over the place and fishing new areas because that lake, to me, it seems like there's like sections that fish completely different,
That's
and there's
completely
like
true.
5 lakes into one,
Yeah.
and like some of the creeks are like a different lake, and
Their own
so
deal.
so from last year, my 7 days at Toledo Bend, I felt like I knew like the section I liked the best. So when I came back for pre-practice in January, that's the only place. It was during that real bad cold storm,
Okay.
and the wind was blowing like crazy, and it was like 24 degrees every day.
Oh
You know
Lord.
what I mean?
That
And
doesn't
I
sound like
never got to
fun.
really. It wasn't. I never really got to run around the lake, so I would always have to put in the creeks just so I didn't
Yeah.
get blown away or sink my
Correct.
boat.
Exactly.
And so I found fish around like the creeks, and basically what I was doing was what I was doing at home, like just looking like this how I was catching the seeds. I was looking for that because we were catching them pretty good here in Tennessee doing that, and I was just trying to find like bait ball fish like that. And when I was there in January, like if we'd have had the tournament there in January, it would have been unbelievable because the schools
Really.
I saw, like the schools of fish I saw swimming that week was unbelievable. Like you would see like trains of bait that would go on for a quarter of a mile, just solid bait.
Wow.
And then you
Really?
would see probably 50 to 100 bass tight in a school swimming through it like
Oh my
tuna,
goodness.
like bluefin or yellowfin tuna just destroying this bait underwater on live scope. It was one of the
Wow.
coolest things I've ever seen. And these fish were all like 4 to 6 pounds.
Holy
Wow.
cow.
Wow.
It was incredible. Like every day you go out there, you'd catch 24 to 28 pounds. And I
Dang.
really wish we
Wow.
could have went. And I wish our tournament would have been in January because it was
Yeah.
truly unbelievable. So
Holy cow.
Your
I
spot was
knew,
paying off then, right? Yeah.
yeah, I knew that's what I needed to find when or hopefully that would still be going on when I come back, when I came back.
Hmm.
And so I started I was like, this is what like. I've seen the fish in pre-practice to come back, and if I can find them somewhere doing this when I come back, I'll have a shot to like win. You know what I mean?
Right.
And in practice, when I came back in February, it was they were a lot harder to find, and like some of my good areas, like where I caught them, where they showed on Bassmaster, where I was starting every day in that creek. That was where I found one of the biggest schools in pre-practice. But when I went back, they were a lot smaller, but
Hmm.
it still allowed me to catch a limit early every day and get my confidence up going into the day. So the fish were a lot more scattered out when we went back, and I really like they were kind of more in single group, like either two fish here or like just one single, but they would be in an area, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. They were getting ready to go up there and spawn for the most part,
Right.
and that's kind of how I figured it out. Like everywhere I was fishing was leading into where they would spawn, and I was just staying. I was staying in between those places from the main lake to where they would go spawn, and I was just intercepting them,
So kind
feeding
of
up,
like their
feeding
their
up on bait.
staging, kind of would
Yes,
you
they
call
were
that their
staging
staging area?
for
And
sure.
they, yeah, and so they'll stay. What happens with a bass like that? Once they do their thing, they come back out there and roam,
Hmm.
and then they get back kind of once the fall. It's I mean they're just following the bait. I would think you
Hmm.
find the bait, you know find the fish. I guess it's really more the bait leaves the back of those coves once the water starts to warm up, and then the fish are just they're going to follow the bait, so they
Yeah,
go back out.
and
What
it
makes them?
basically
Why do they bunch up so much in the winter when it gets cold? Why do you think that is?
because of the like the lakes always have a drawdown in the wintertime, and it takes those fish that love to be up in the bushes and on the laydowns. Like those laydowns are out of the water most of the time, so they come out and suck out to the middle of the drains and everything like
Hmm.
that. And they like to go out there and chase bait because I don't know if in the fall time of the year you're going down the bank throwing a spinner bait like and you see them out in the middle of the pocket blowing up on shad and you throw a
Yes.
spook over there and catch them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
basically the same fish that are blowing up on those bait on top that are just sunk down in the water column, and they just fall and they just that bait swims through the pocket, attracts all the bait that's living on the bank, and they just follow them and go out to the main lake, and that's where they kind of live is just feeding in the wintertime. That's their winter haunt, and then
Okay.
it kind of all evolves from there. The water starts warming back up. They're pushing to the bait's pushing to the warmer water, and it's just coming. They're going out and then coming back in the springtime. So that's really that was kind of my game plan,
Yeah.
and I got to capitalize on the single fish that were just roaming out there.
Yeah.
Never
Yeah. I
really got
would
around
say.
those big schools that
Well,
I'd seen in January.
let's look at a couple of these clips. These are from Bassmaster. Let's watch two of these. Both of these went viral because really, and I told you this, they're at the lake that day. What was funny is that he didn't know how viral these things had gone. I was like, no, dude. He knew. He was like, yeah, I heard they were kind of blowing up. I went, no, man, they're blowing up. Like they're really blowing up
Like
because
what kind of blowing up?
going up, blowing up good. So check this video out. This
All
is
right.
one of the first videos, really, that I've ever seen in professional bass fishing, where it was just because you can see the live scope that he had in his boat. is in the feed of the broadcast feed. Check this out, Blasey. Yeah, I don't
All right.
believe you have seen this.
A lot of our leaders in this tournament said those fish will actually, the bass, you see his bait going down right there toward, notice how that bass is above the school of bait. Got him.
I did see this. This was Rob. I didn't know this.
Yeah, dude.
This was
I
fantastic.
want you to,
Actually,
this is really bizarre. On this one, a lot of the leaders have said the fish will actually to spend above the bait and rest, and then you'll see them go down into the bait. Where a lot of places we've been to, they're always, a lot of our viewers know this, they're below the bait and will come up through it. That is not the case here on Toledo. A lot of those fish suspend above the pods of bait, blankets of bait.
These things is pretty funny. They swim straight to the boat because they're very curious creatures.
Oh damn!
So,
That was
yeah,
Rob
so-
that did that. I saw that.
Yeah, dude.
Actually, I was looking at that and this whole, all this scope stuff, and I was looking, and I was like, man, not only are you seeing them, like y'all are like now redefining what you thought fish should be doing in that moment,
Yes.
and it's like
Sure.
that's you, dude. I did
Yeah.
not know that was you. Yeah, Brantley shared that with me, and I was like, I watched that over and over again, thinking that is so cool.
It's unbelievable.
That's
And then watch this one. This was from the next day. This was a hoss.
A very good scenario.
Yes, that's
So
what I'm
they-
saying.
they-
Now there's two right there.
Got him.
Wow, that was you reeling them in the whole time, huh?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I feel like I'm back in the cath lab looking at like different. Like seriously, it's the same type of imaging that you have to look at. You don't know what you're looking at. You don't know what you're seeing, but you know exactly. Look at that. That's crazy.
Ocean ponies. Ocean ponies. I heard Daryl Gleason somebody call them here one time. That's what they are. Ocean ponies. They swim out here like sharks in the ocean.
Ocean
That's
ponies.
what I'm talking about. I came back to where I've been catching all these bigs, and they're here. They don't come in here until the evening time. They're here now.
Big Rob, just dropping it on them. I mean, that's who you are. That's what you do, ain't it?
That's right.
Oh yeah, I
That's
like to do
exactly
it. I
who
love
he
it.
is. Come on, you need to bow your neck a little bit more. You need to take seriously. You need to look at yourself and be like, I mean, I know I'm a damn fish catching pimp.
Yes,
That's exactly who I am. That's who you are, dude. That's what you
catching
do. You
pimp.
catch fish. You're a fish catching pimp.
Dude, he does it. He does it. But man, that's one of the coolest things to be able to watch. How and it wasn't those are the two highlights fish catches, but that on that actual live, and you can go back on Bassmaster, search Toledo Bend. I believe that was day 2. Yeah, that was day 2, 1 and 2. Go back and watch those. Robert put on a class of how to fish with live scope, how it works. He walked you through everything, what he was doing, the line, the rod, the technique. I mean, I know you didn't give all of it away, but you gave a lot of it away. I mean, and I think that's part of what some folks are maybe upset about in the fishing world a little bit, and not you, but that this is now out. The genie is out of the bottle. The rabbit is out of the hat. You
for
can catch
educating
fish with
people.
this. You're
He's educating
people.
people. He's an
Yeah.
educator.
Yes.
Like, don't hate him
Yeah,
for
that's
educating.
why-
He's just showing you how to do something.
That's exactly right.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to show it
Yes.
because
Yeah.
it's super cool and awesome, and I love doing it. And there's been so much hate around it that everybody's always saying like, "Oh, it's so boring to watch." Everybody's just looking at the back of their heads and they're just looking at their screens. But if you have the screen on and I'm walking through what's going on, it's really cool to watch. And I love watching. I love watching. Like whenever the MLF was at Toledo Bend, they were doing that a lot, and I
Yes.
loved it because they were
Yeah, me
catching
too.
giants. And
That's cool, dude.
I just thought it would be
That's
cool to
That's
get
actually
the
really
screen
cool.
on.
It's really cool.
It's the way it should be. Why? I mean, I think if you're going to have it on Bass Live, all these boats, as you know, like, okay, how much did you spend on electronics on your rig? What is your setup? How many screens do you have on your boat?
I have 5 screens on my
Okay.
boat.
Damn.
Yeah,
Which you have to though if you're fishing in
Yeah,
the right
I
now.
get it, dude. He's a pro
You got
fisherman. Like
to.
that's just. I was thinking he was gonna say 3. Yeah, I don't know why, but
No.
anyway, go
Up
ahead.
3 up
front, you
front.
have
Sorry.
3 up front.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have no screens when I go pompano fishing, but anyway, continue.
You need to invest
Oh,
in
I would
this.
love to. If I could find a way to do that, I would do it.
Oh
Tell
yeah.
us about your screens.
Yeah, so
Yes, yes, yes.
so if I was just so we'll say this, if I was paying for it, I would only have 2 up there.
Right.
Like one with my like mapping and 2D sonar, and then one for strictly live scope. Like I would definitely have that on there. But and the other one's for Humminbird 360, which I'm one of the Humminbird Minn Kota guys. So I'm blessed with the opportunity to run another screen with the
Big
360
hummingbird guy.
screen on there. Yeah.
So do you're using everything. You're using the mapping, you're using 360 and you're using forward facing sonar.
hmm
I mean, so and do you still use 2D at all?
Yeah, I do.
Is it
That's how I
what
found those fish
okay.
out there is running in those creeks and everything, and just when I saw the in my in hole transducer. So
Okay.
it's
So
been
you're
around
just
for a
sitting
long
back at the
time.
back with your main
Yep. So
2D
it
screen.
shoots a beam through my boat hole
Hmm.
while I'm running and keeps track of the depth. But you can also see like where the bait is. Like whenever you go over bait with your in hole, you can see it a little bit. Whenever I would see that, I would turn around, put my live scope down, and
See
scope
what's
around
up.
for miles and miles until I ran into areas with concentration of fish and just marked them like that.
It's just so something that I'm not used to fishing, but I would love to do it. I'm
Oh,
all about it.
it's awesome.
Yeah, it's just a totally different deal. You're kind of hunting in a sense. You're
Sure.
hunting more than you are really fishing, and but to be able to
It's like
stop, watch, you know,
yeah,
oh,
it's kind
I
of
love
like
it.
it's like whenever traditionally the best thing I can compare it to that we used to do was bedfish. So
Yeah, yeah,
you're hunting down the like people that love to bedfish. What they do is they put the trolling motor on high and go in all these pockets and spawning flats and everything like that, and just hunt around until they see one on a bed. And
that's right.
that's pretty much what I'm doing. But they're not on a bed. They're
Yeah,
actively chasing
They're
bait.
just out in open water. Yeah.
that's right.
Yep. And
We had
they still
Tyler
have their own
Stewart.
free will.
Yeah,
They they
we
can
had
choose
Tyler's.
whether they bite or not.
That's true.
I just think it's so cool. It's like it's such a simple philosophy, really. Like you know, what I mean, like it's a slight shift. It's a major shift, but it's a slight shift. And it's like, no, I'm just looking at them out here. Y'all been looking at them for years, right
Yeah,
here. I'm
I
just
mean,
looking at them over here. It's not that big of a deal. Like when I first heard of this, Brantley, like, cause I'm just like again outside looking in. I was like, I don't know. It looks a little like cheating and this and all that. Like, it's really not, dude. It's just freaking like it's just the next level of fishing, you know?
it's just the next advancement of
Yeah,
technology.
that's
I
it,
mean,
dude. It's
it
just
went from a paper graph to a flasher to 2D sonar, black and white, to color 2D sonar, to mapping, to side imaging, to 360, to forward facing sonar. It's just
it's
the next
look at you, just
step.
I mean, unbelievable. Just
Hmm.
laid it out so we could play it out.
I really love to fish. I love bass fishing.
Yeah,
I know you do.
but
I know
but
you do.
It
now
is
like
it is my passion. Really covering it and just talking about it. I'm better at talking
I
about it
know
than I am doing
he's so
it.
giddy. It's so funny. I just show up and I just have like some more personal questions and I'm like, oh, Brantley's just so all over this. He's over there just absolutely just
Oh yeah, dude,
shaking in his skin. Like I just need
yeah.
to show up and
So
just
many
help out a
questions I
little bit.
have, and won't even get to a quarter of them that I haven't.
But
And
it's been
we're
hey,
yeah,
I mean it's
that's
crazy.
okay.
We've been going for like 50 something minutes. It's like
Dang near an hour.
there's so much here. And Rob, hey, I appreciate the hell out of you because I'm like I grew up bass fishing and like brim fishing, like just in ponds and you know like
hmm
on some rivers and you know lakes a little bit, but I wasn't like major into it. And Brantley, I met him and he was more into it than I was, and we were talking. And he was, you know, give me different rigs and this. I was like, man, you really thought about this more than I ever thought about it. And
Mm-hmm.
I live on the beach now, so I do more surf fishing, and I love surf fishing now. But that's more passive fishing than active fishing. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
but I still love fishing. Fishing's phenomenal. So anytime I get to hear this, this is 2 weeks in a row now we've had
Yeah,
people in
yeah,
bass fishing. Dude, it's kind of got me fired up. I really want to start like I want to
For
get some. I
sure.
want to kind of get. I kind of want to engage. And my buddy from Geneva, Todd Moat, he's a friend of mine. His son fishes on a high school bass fishing team. He's got a heck of a setup there.
Oh, that's the
And
pit. That's the guy that you sent
yeah,
me the
that's
picture.
yeah,
Yes,
that's
yes, he
Todd,
does.
dude.
He
He's
has
son.
he
Yeah,
has
and
a
they were.
rig.
He
He's
was.
ready. He's got
They,
scope
they
and
were at
everything.
Guntersville, and like, yeah, he had a house down here at the beach, and he made a mint on it, and then he just invested back in Geneva and freshwater fishing. So they
Yes,
have a
sir.
phenomenal setup there, and he's sending me all this stuff, and Brantley sending me this stuff, and I'm talking to you, and like, it's got me excited about bass fishing.
Look,
Again.
That's
March
awesome.
turned into the Tiggs Bits podcast turned into bass fishing in March, as it should,
For
Yeah,
as it
sure.
will do
I
next
like it.
year. It's
I love it.
prime time, baby. It's prime time for
It
bass
is.
fishing.
No
And we're
doubt.
fortunate. We had Tyler Stewart on last week at MLF Pro. I don't know if you know Tyler, but he
I
won
don't know him
on.
personally, but I saw his big win.
Yeah,
He was a
dude. He
college. I'm pretty sure he was a college guy, a
he
little bit
he
before me.
was he started in the college deal, and he and his buddy kind of interesting hearing your story, very similar
It's
as
very similar.
how
It's
they
very
started.
similar.
He's just in MLF instead of BASS,
Tyler's a
you know.
cool
Hmm.
kid. I like to. I say kid like because I'm old. Like I'm 50, so I use that term like loosely. Okay, so but yeah,
They
he's
are
a
kids.
he,
They are
he's a
kind of kids. That's
no,
Blakey, and
but
it's
dude,
so weird to
no,
say,
but
but
they're
it's
damn
okay.
pros. You know, they're damn professionals. You know,
Absolutely,
so
yes.
absolutely they
Who
are. Yeah.
who are speaking of pros? All right, so who are the guys that who are your heroes? Who are your guys growing up? Who inspired you to be where you're at?
So I'd say, I mean, I like a lot, like especially lately in the last like 7, 8 years with all the people transitioning to YouTube and like get to see more of their backgrounds and stuff. But I would have to say probably I really like Ott Defoe since he lives around me. He's from
Yeah, yeah.
Knoxville area, and we've kind of had have the same fishing styles. Or
Okay,
I guess people don't think I fish like him since Toledo Bend happened, but I fish like Ott Defoe
okay.
most of the
Well, that's
time
good. That's
when the
good. So you
fish are
can
doing that.
scrap them. You're a scrappy
Yeah,
fisherman. Yeah.
I'm a scrappy junk fisherman, but
Yes.
and I love Brian Thrift.
Okay.
That's who I try to style myself after. Is the run and gun um kind of deal, like finding 150 spots and running them all in a day.
Yeah.
Just playing the odds of like if I run all these, that 10 or 20 of these are I'm gonna catch fish out of.
Yeah. You'll run
Hopefully they're
into
big.
some. Yeah.
Yeah, just finding those little brush piles and sticks like that and running that, making them like 5 cast places. I really like doing that, and then just a bunch of other guys that offshore fish, like in the college guys like Jordan Lee.
Yeah.
Really looked up to him growing up because he made it through the college series and everything like that, and back to back classic.
Yep.
But basically, all of the younger guys and stuff like that, like Ott Defoe, Brian Thrift, Jordan Lee, Justin Adkins on the MLF side, and
Mm-hmm.
those
That's
guys.
that. I mean, that's a good group of guys to want to to follow after for sure. They've all
Hmm.
been extremely successful. That's awesome. That's
Michael
awesome, man.
Neal.
And yep, yep, yep. He's super. He's a stick.
Mm-hmm.
That's good, man. Have you
Jesse
ran
Connell
across,
too.
dude? I love that cat. I
Yeah,
really do. I don't know him or anything, but he seems like he's just a good old like
for
what you
sure.
see is what you get out of
Oh yeah,
him. And he just a good dude too, you
and
know.
like
And so,
Jacob Wheeler too. I forgot to leave him out. He's the best in the
yeah,
world. But,
yeah, yeah. We can't
and like
leave Jacob Wheeler out.
Patrick Walters, those
Patrick
guys.
Walton. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's so awesome right now because when that split first happened a few years back, you know, and a lot because to me, BASS has always been the premier league of professional bass fishing. I'm not knocking anything whatsoever. I do believe that MLF and now I do believe that it is its own awesome, amazing deal as well. But when that split happened, it was like, oh man, a lot of my favorite fishermen are leaving BASS and they're going over there. I didn't know how I was going to feel about it, but I was just going to give it a chance. But at the time, I'm like, oof, this is going to be bad for BASS. I don't know if they'll be able to survive this. And like naive thinking, really. But also knowing at that time, this is well before you, their relationship with ESPN and whatnot. I just heard rumblings and stuff like that, so I knew it wasn't the best. And then that happened. I'm like, oh man. But I'll tell you what, they had those changes. They've moved over
Mm-hmm.
and different stuff, and they flat out. They are back at the. I don't know if they ever really left, but it was questionable for a second. But they're at the very top. Once again, all of the crop of fishermen, yourself included, that are in there now. Whew, it's the best in the world. There's no doubt, man. There's no doubt. I just wish we could get to a point of where there was like the top 10 angler of the year point standing at the end of the year in BASS and the top 10 point standing in MLF, and we have a Super Bowl, a true
That
Super
would be
Bowl
cool.
of bass fishing between the top 20 guys. I mean, I think that we're in a world that one day that
I would
could
like to see that
potentially happen. I would love for that
for
to
sure.
happen. I
Yeah,
mean,
I would too. That would be sick
wouldn't that be sick, dude?
for
And
sure.
then you have the one true world champion.
No doubt.
I mean, I'd be fine, but I don't. BASS probably would always want the Bassmaster Classic to be the crown jewel.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could just use the Bassmaster Classic as that format somehow, but I don't know. I don't know. That's something down the road.
It's almost like it feels like it's all right. So this is my ignorance right here when it comes to bass fishing, because as I grew up, like the Bassmaster Classic, and you know what I mean, BASS, that was the ultimate elite to me in my mind was just like the PGA Tour.
Yeah,
Now you got Live
Exactly.
Golf, you got PGA Tour. So is that what's happening now in bass fishing?
Exactly.
Like, okay,
yeah.
I
The
feel like it
exact
was
same.
like, yeah, yeah.
It's a
You got these
perfect,
divides.
That's the best
perfect.
analogy you
You
Yeah,
can
got to
even
find a
think
way
of.
to put those together, and going back to like way back in the day with the AFL and the NFC. You know what I mean? Like let's get this together, dude. Let's get the best in the
yes.
world competing against each other. At some point, you can have all this stuff throughout the year, but at the end of the day, let's find a way to have the best of the best compete against each other.
It
Period.
would be
Yeah, just
so
one tournament. That'd
awesome.
be cool.
Dude,
Yes,
it would be so
I agree.
awesome. I think one day
Maybe
it
we'll
could
have a
happen.
Tigs Bits Classic. You know.
Yeah.
What do y'all think
we,
about that? I mean, really, like let's
why
combine
not?
them all. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I think
mean, we
so.
got to go. We need to start hustling
Yeah.
up some sponsors to get those guys in here. It ain't gonna
Well,
be cheap.
we've had two of the best come in here the last two
This is
weeks. So
true.
like, why can't
This
we
is
make this
true.
happen? So
I'm pretty sure they
Well,
used to do that. The PAA, the Professional Anglers Association.
did
But I
they?
don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they what happened to that. But I wish they would come back.
I do too. I mean, I think it would be a great way to just settle everything, because I like both. I mean, I
Yeah,
love the MLF and I love BASS. I want both leagues to succeed and do well, because if that is the case, that means professional bass fishing is
for sure.
succeeding, and
grow
there's still
the
I mean, that's the
sport.
biggest thing.
Grow the sport.
For sure.
Grow
Whatever
the
it takes.
sport. Grow the
Yeah.
sport.
Classic is
That's it.
still the Classic is still the Super Bowl of bass fishing though. Like this
Yes.
past weekend, just every time you sit down there on Championship Sunday and watch that weigh in, it'll about choke you up every time for the guy
Dude,
who wins.
it
It's
it
incredible.
it, it will. I watched. I mean, I just love it. I don't think I've ever had a dry eye ever since I've been watching it. To when there was somebody who won, but to see Justin Hamner's wife and his little girl just throwing that confetti
Hmm.
up and then getting in the boat, and he was a complete wreck. Understandably so. I would be too.
For
Have you
sure,
seen
no
his?
doubt.
Have you seen his interview post? Like uh, Ronnie Moore interviewed him like backstage or whatever, I guess, after with the trophy. I mean, it seemed like it was pretty fresh, like within 30 minutes probably of wrapping up and going back there. Dude, you'll cry
I
because
bet.
it's everything that I know you feel in your heart of what are your whys and why you
Hmm.
do it. I love seeing somebody do it and accomplish that. Like you could just see the relief that comes over them that they can't believe it. He probably still can't believe it, and he probably won't for a long time. I mean, that would be tough because that's what we all dream of as a little kid that loved to fish. I mean, that was my thing. Winning it is something I could never even really fathom or imagine. Going to it, making it, that's attainable. You can attain that, but just to be there would be, I mean, I would be content the first time. I would be content with being there.
For sure.
Second time, no, I'd be there to win. The
For
second
sure.
time I
No doubt
made it,
about it.
So I'm hoping. What do you have to do? You have to finish in the top 40 to qualify
Yes.
for? Okay,
Yes. That's what I
you're going.
looked over and told my roommate that we were watching the weigh-in in the arena, and I looked over at him, and I just looked at him and said, "Yeah, yeah, man, I gotta get here next year." You know what I mean? That's
Yes.
my goal,
Yeah.
first goal. Because
Yeah.
he looked over and said, "I can't. That could be us." Like after he went, I said, "Hey, my goal was just making it here first, buddy." You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
That's
Yeah,
right.
heck yeah.
That's right.
And you did. Yep.
That's right. That's right. What do you I mean, you've got the whole season. Let me see. I've got where you guys go next
We
to
go to Florida,
you
back-to-back
go to the
events in Florida.
Harris Chain. Well, yeah, that's where I talked to you last week. That's where y'all had a practice there, or you were able to. How are you thinking about that? When you feeling pretty good going into it? Of course, that's April 11th through 14th. I think the fish in Florida most likely have they spawned, or they kind
Yeah,
of in their
they
post,
seemed to
or
be
they
they were
post
spawning
spawn.
whenever. Yeah, when I was there. So
Right.
it might, most likely will be a postponed event, but I don't know. I haven't really. Hopefully this time, every time I say it, past like 5, 6 years, every time I go to Florida, I'm like, hopefully I figure out how to fish it a little bit better than last time. So it's just a
I've
different
heard,
world down there.
dude, I've heard a lot of anglers over the years in different interviews and stuff that I've watched make that exact comment of, I mean, Florida is, I've lived and lived there where Blasey's at, and I would go and fish Lake Seminole
Hmm. That's my
occasionally. I don't
favorite
fish it a
Florida lake
ton. Dude, I love that lake.
for
I
sure.
mean,
That's
I caught some heads on that sucker.
yeah,
The grass and all that. It fished a lot like Toledo Bend, a whole lot.
yes. That's why I
But
like it. It's more of rivers, more
yeah,
of a, like
yeah,
it's a
it-
man-made lake with a dam.
that's exactly right.
The Florida lakes that are natural lakes, those are the ones that they kind of get on my nerves because the fish
They're
don't act.
finicky.
They don't act right. They're a little bit. They're a different species than all the other bass I try to catch.
It's because they truly are all Florida bass, aren't they? And those things can be ornery as all get out
For
and just
sure.
flat not bite, right? I mean, they
Hmm.
and you have what's something that you noticed anything on live scope whenever you're fishing those kind of fish, how they react, kind of like it we learned on Toledo Bend, and I don't know if you've seen this anywhere else, that those fish were like above the bait fish instead of
Hmm.
below them. Do
Yeah.
you see that set up anywhere else, or is this something that we're kind of now discovering?
So basically, my I guess hypothesis or whatever for the fish being up above the bait at Toledo Bend when I was there uh, a month ago was because they were about ready to spawn and they were sitting up higher in the water column, closer to the warmer water because of the sun to warm
Mm,
their eggs before they go and spawn. Like
okay,
they were
it makes
warming their
sense.
egg, they were warming up their eggs to go lay on the nest. But
Dude, you know what's
Florida,
funny, Rob? I'm not a
hmm
fisherman. I mean, I mean, I'm such a minor fisherman. That's the first thought that came to my mind when they showed that video. I was like, I just think the water's a little warmer up there, and I
it
think they're
is, yeah,
enjoying getting up there. And like, I think it's a little bit just a better
Makes
position
sense.
for them.
for
That's what
sure,
I
yeah.
thought. Like, I just from a like complete neophyte
Yeah,
standpoint, like that was my thought. So I
totally
actually
makes
For
makes me
sure.
feel
sense.
smart.
Like
Yeah.
when I was there in January when the water was really cold, they weren't. I mean, some of them were up there just probably sunning around, but most of them, like the ones that were in the schools, were down in the water column with the
Okay.
bait.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, I'm glad I
once it
remembered
gets
to ask
closer
you
to
about
the
that.
spawn, they get up. A lot of them start getting up way high. Like this time of year, they're real high in this water column just to sun
Yeah.
their eggs.
Makes sense.
It totally makes
Makes
sense.
perfect sense.
Do you use do you use 360 and what is the mode with live scope that these guys are starting to
Perspective.
like Scott Martin perspective mode? Have you
hmm
are you okay? All right.
I'm not a dialed perspective motor because I've always been a Humminbird 360 guy for the past 3 or 4 years because it was kind of like the live scope before live scope. Like
Right.
that's the
Yeah.
thing to
The
have.
first really one, yeah, for sure.
The cool, yeah, like for offshore fishermen, that was really good, and I've been on board with that thing. So that plays a big role in Florida. That's really the reason I still always have that on my boat is fishing grass for like when I'm fishing grass and in Florida and on like Gunnersville and stuff like that
Mhm.
because it
Yeah.
plays a huge role like finding the grass line and making repeated cast the grass like that or like a depression in the grass.
We got us a dog member
We
in
do
the
have a dog
house.
in the background. We
But
got a
yeah,
dog in the background. Yep.
You never
So,
know what'll happen at props.
yeah, that's our
Well,
buddies over there. They're all trying to get in on the action here.
I mean, you can't blame them. You can't
No,
blame them. Well, look,
great place. Love Florida.
dial
Yeah,
this. We'll start to dial this in because we're going to visit with you again after the
dude, this has
season
been
wraps up. We'll
this
have
has
a
been so
follow up
good.
show,
I
but
I enjoy this
sure.
so much.
for
It's
sure,
so like entertaining. I'm taking notes. A lot of times when I'm looking away and looking down, I'm taking notes. I'm not
we'll
not listening to you.
get ready to take
It's so
some good
good.
notes here because I want Robert to talk about his sponsors and
Yeah.
what they do
Bring
and
it. Bring it.
how they help you. Like so,
Yep.
go give it a go.
So my
Who you
title
got?
sponsor is Enduro Power lithium batteries, and it's real. That's the most crucial part of my boat, honestly. Besides like my Yamaha motor and my Phoenix Bass boat getting me to places on the lake,
Mm-hmm.
it couldn't be. It couldn't. I couldn't go anywhere without my lithium batteries, and those lithium batteries are so just reliable and strong and powerful. Like I will go and fish a full practice day for 12, 14 hours and they won't be even 50% dead when I come
That's
back in.
awesome.
Holy
It's
cow!
truly incredible. Like, and I can,
That's
at
crazy.
Toledo Bend, I was on the trolling motor the whole time.
Yep.
And like when I would come in, my trolling motor batteries would literally be at like 75%. So I would only
That's
use like a
crazy.
Whoa!
quarter of it.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Like,
I've never
Full.
fished a whole day on any body of water and had that
God.
experience. That
That's like
is the
full
power of
confidence
lithium.
that's confidence on another level. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you know
sure.
you just got after it and you got 75% left.
How
Not
Yep.
many
25%,
batteries? How many
75.
batteries you running in that boat? How many
So
do
I
you
run
run?
4 batteries.
Okay.
I run
Great.
2 for my electronics and cranking, and
Okay.
then 2 for my trolling motor.
Okay.
Damn.
I
You don't
run two
find.
30. I run 236-volt trolling
Oh,
motor
okay.
batteries because the
Okay.
lithium batteries you can have a 36-volt battery and you just run those two in parallel,
Oh
and
wow.
it's 100 amp
How
hours of
good?
that, and it's truly incredible having those. Like I've ran those lithium batteries for trolling motor the past 3 years, and I could never go back to AGM or lead acids because there's no drawdown in power.
Yeah.
Like you can be fishing, um, standing on a troll motor all day, and like even if you do get it down to 10% left on the batteries, it'll you can still run your troll motor on 10,
Oh
and it'll
wow.
be a true 10%.
It's
Back when I
true.
used to run lead
Wow.
acids, when the troll motor would start to, or when the batteries would start to die, you could see the effects on your troll motor with the voltage loss,
Yeah.
and it would
Yeah.
like you would be on 10, and it would really only be like on 3 power. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yep.
That's
That's
Yep.
crazy.
truly like the greatest thing I've put in my boat, besides a live scope. Honestly,
Yeah.
in the
Game
past three
changer.
years is those
Game
lithium
changer.
batteries.
Yeah.
They are having
Yeah.
good power to your graphs too, clears everything up, and
Yeah.
just helps you find more fish and be able to fish more effectively.
No
Yeah.
doubt. No doubt.
So
Who
they're
else is
huge.
out there getting you on the road and helping you out this season?
So yeah, I mentioned them too: Phoenix Bass boats and Yamaha outboards. truly the best combination of boat and motor I've ever used, and I'm truly grateful to be running that because it's a big water beast and super reliable Yamaha motor. Like whenever you go to the dock on the ocean, all of them boats out there have a Yamaha because they're going
Mhm.
way out in the ocean and hopefully getting back, and that's why they choose Yamaha.
That's
But
right.
so it's truly just a peace of mind to have a Yamaha behind the boat this year, and my Humminbird and Minn Kota graphs that they have the best mapping and side scan with the mega imaging by far, bar none, than all the
Yeah.
other graph companies right now. It's truly remarkable that the Humminbird Lake Master mapping that they've got.
Uh,
Um, they've went and
Dude,
mapped every like you can't hide anything like all these
no,
old honey holes people had. They're all on the Humminbird Lake Master. It's truly incredible.
that sucker opened Toledo Bend up. I can tell you that.
Yeah,
As
the
you
Toledo
know, I mean,
Bend
you can.
Humminbird is
Yes.
incredible.
Thank you, KVD,
Yeah,
because he
for
he
sure,
made that happen.
no
I mean,
doubt.
It's so
you got
awesome.
like you got like the ultimate like combination of sponsorships there. You know
He
what I
really
mean?
For
Like,
sure.
does.
and I'm not taking away from your fishing skills, but like you have a great combo there, and I'm
Good
sure that
team.
makes you just, you know what I mean? Like that really allows you to elevate to that highest
For
level.
sure.
You know? So
It's
yeah,
it's it's truly incredible. And
that's
like
awesome, man.
I'm also got on board with Visit Knoxville, who's the local um like kind of the chamber of commerce to
Chamber
getting
Company, yeah.
like big tournaments into
Yeah, I mean,
Knoxville and big
they're the
sporting
reason the
events
Bassmaster
in
Classic was
Knoxville.
there. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. So yeah, so and I love Knoxville and Knoxville sports like the Tennessee Vols, of
yeah,
course,
yeah, for
go
sure.
Vols, and
Go Tigers. It's
I
okay.
That's it.
yeah yeah
Good Trojans.
uh, and then I use P line, which is awesome, strong line,
Yep.
and Ryuji hooks or Ryugi hooks. They're a Japanese hook company. They're on the come up. They're the sharpest and best hooks I've ever used for bass fishing, and like their treble
Like a
hooks are
good
by
hook.
far they're the
Love a
best
good
treble
hook.
hooks I've ever used on any jerk bait or crankbait. Like
Ooh.
I have not lost many at all on them things. They're
I wonder,
incredible.
I wonder if they make a good circle hook because I love a good circle hook.
Like for live bait fishing.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, I fish on the coast down here.
Yes,
I do a lot of surf fishing. I'm a big like, get a nice circle hook here. You know what I mean. But
I
like
would.
some
Yeah,
of these hooks are garbage. I don't like to mess with those.
the
So
Ryuji Talisman Brutal is probably what you need.
that's what I'm looking for. All right, I'm writing it
There you
down.
go. There you go.
Oh my gosh,
R Y
first in
U
the
G
morning.
I
Yeah. All
uh,
right. Well, gee,
Talisman Brutal. That would be probably a good one for the salt. A good circle hook for the salt.
got it written down. I'm
They got
always
different sizes on there.
looking
But
for a better hook. Yeah.
and then another sponsor I'm working with is a local electronics, Bass Boat Electronics. They're out at Knoxville,
Okay.
and they helped me get my boat dialed in before the
They rock.
season
They
starts with the rigging and all that. And they rig boats for
okay.
everybody around here, and a lot of people come from Georgia, Kentucky, South Carolina, North Carolina to get their boats rigged at their shop. So
Dang. Well, who
they're
are these people?
yeah,
Who are
Bass
they?
Boat Electronics. They've got a
Bass Boat
website.
Electronics. All right.
You can call them up, and if you're even in Louisiana or Florida, you can go up there and get your boat rigged. So and they've
Dude,
always got new electronics in stock if you ever need any.
I was at a outdoor showing in Gonzales, Louisiana. It's right outside of Baton Rouge last weekend or a
Hmm.
couple weekends ago, and I went by Cajun Outdoors. They have, yeah, they sell boats. They had Phoenix. They sell Phoenix and Skeeter, and they had Phoenix. And the guy saw me. I was just like, I stopped. I went, crap. I don't want the guy. I'm not buying a boat, dude. Don't even try. But I mean, but I looked at it. Man, those Phoenix boats are unbelievable. He knew I wasn't getting it. I started telling him I had a podcast. I actually told him you were coming on, and
Yeah,
he's like, "Oh, okay, okay." He started showing me the stuff and like the rigging in the back of those Phoenix boats, dude. They've thought of everything. The ease of how to get to the batteries, those little compartments that
for
slide
sure.
now. Oh my God, dude, it's unbelievable what is involved in a bass boat in
But
2024 and how they run it, the gauge cables, all that stuff, dude. There's no doubt Phoenix is top of the line. That's what I get. If I was going
Yes,
to run a boat right now, get
it's the best
anyone I
bass
want.
boat right now,
Yeah,
but
I
bar
think it
none.
is too.
It's truly like just the the speed and just the handling and rough water.
Yeah.
Like at Toledo Bend on day 4, it was like blowing 20 plus out of the south. And I didn't spear a wave. I was just cruising back over the waves, and it, just having that kind of a boat when you're fishing on the elites and all these big lakes is truly incredible, and it just is
Yeah.
a peace of mind, and you can fish so much better when you have a
Right.
boat like that, because it's just the best fishing platform I've ever fished off of.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. I love them. Well, you got any other sponsors we need to give a shout out
Yeah,
to?
McKee Outdoors. They've been with me from my freshman year in college. It's a tackle shop here in East Tennessee, and the owner, me and him are really good friends, and he carries all the Shimano, G Loomis, all the JDM tackle. It's like one of the best tackle stores in the country by
Nice.
far, and he's one of my sponsors and great friend of mine. And he has an online website and he's on
Okay.
Facebook. So if y'all ever need anything, give him a call on Matt McKee. He's got it. He's got one of
Perfect.
the biggest tackle stores in the country, I'd say.
Oh, that's awesome,
Heck
dude.
yeah.
That's
Heck yeah. And
awesome.
if you're watching this or listening to this, look in the description below. I'm going to have links to these sponsors that Robert's telling us about too, so you can easily
Yeah,
go check
absolutely.
these places out,
Absolutely.
man. What
Oh
speaking
yeah.
of socials, Robert, how can folks follow you? Where all are you active at on social media?
So I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Robert G on Facebook and RGEE Fishing on Instagram. And
Okay.
I'm on YouTube right now.
Okay.
I don't have my own YouTube account, but I travel with 3 other guys on the Elite Series, and we kind of do a behind the scenes tournament vlog um,
Okay.
on Logan Parks Fishing's YouTube. So if y'all
Okay.
want to watch kind of how we go to these tournaments and stuff like that, go check it out on
Oh, that's
YouTube.
Yes.
cool.
I,
That's pretty.
yeah,
That's
how did
that's
this
super
pass
cool.
me by? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
Yeah, that's
it's
I've got
awesome.
Lido.
homework. I know what I'm going to do when I'm done with this.
Yep.
Believe it
Yeah,
or
got to
not,
dive into that. There's a
I
whole
don't
nother
ever get
segment
tired of
there.
I never get tired of bass fishing ever or
No,
watching
Oh
it
yeah,
or talking about
y'all
it
go
like
check it out.
obviously.
It's Lido
I
Bends
will.
on YouTube
he does
right
Okay.
now.
not.
Awesome. Okay.
We got a
Perfect.
cameraman that
I will
follows
definitely
us
check that out.
follow us through
Fun.
practice and at the tournament, so it's good.
Okay.
All
Awesome,
right.
man. Awesome. Well, dude, I'm not going to keep you. We've kept you an hour and a half. We've gone a
Oh
long
yeah.
time. I had a feeling my wife asked me before I jumped on. She said, "How long you think it'll be?" I was like, "Well, we always shoot for an hour. We're talking fishing, honey."
Oh,
I
this
kind of
Oh
dude,
yeah.
walked her through the what we were
Rob,
going to
this
talk about,
this
and she
dude will
said,
go forever. He'll go
"Yeah,
forever.
yeah." She
I
said,
had
"This is a 2 hour."
75 questions. I got to get in 3. I mean, I knew that though going in. I was going to get in 3 of my 75. It's just kind of the way it is, you know.
Yeah, well, you'll still have them whenever he comes back. I
Yeah,
won't
because I
talk
was
as much. I'll
talking.
try
I
to
was going to
shut
ask
up.
you, do you fish with one of these? I'm pretty sure you don't.
What in the world is that?
I know. Like, so this
Yeah,
is a
what
whole
is
other.
that?
That's next level fishing. Like, no, what this is I built this today, and this is so you got like a 1/4 inch screen. You
Hmm.
got you got a you know what these are? The
Yeah,
Yeah.
pool noodles.
yeah, exactly. Pool noodle.
So
Yeah, it's a pool noodle. It's exactly what it is. Built around a frame of a PVC. So I get out there in in the Gulf, and I got a ghost shrimp sucker, and I suck them out. And I'm gonna have this tomorrow. I just built it today. I'll float it in, and I'll shoot the sand in here, and my
oh,
ghost shrimp will just sit
yes,
here and present themselves
sure will.
That's
on
cool.
this on this thing of goodness right here,
Yeah.
and I'll just keep shooting them in there until I get all the ghost shrimp I need, so we can get these pompano that are running through here right now. In the morning, we're going. Me and my buddy Ben, if he's not hanging out with Vladimir Putin tonight, he's some kind of weird contractor with the government military. He works in the middle of the night. But this is what we're going to use. So I was going to ask you this.
Heck
Did you know
yeah.
what this was? And that's what this is. But I
All
built
right.
this
I mean,
today.
it's like
Yeah, I
like a
figured it was some
sifter
sort of
in gold
sister kind of
gold
deal.
hunting.
That's all about
Yeah,
it.
that's
It's
what
all
I
about
thought at first.
Yeah, it's like you're
yeah.
sifting with like it's. You've been watching Gold Fever, hadn't you? Gold,
You
gold, gold,
are.
gold.
You are sifting for gold. And I put this in my pocket and I tether it off myself.
What
So he just floats along with me while
Yeah.
I'm sucking him ghost
Heck
shrimp
yeah.
up. But
Makes sense. Makes
it
sense.
makes perfect sense.
That's awesome.
Well, perfect, man. Well, look, we're not going to keep you any longer, Robert. I'm going to close this out. Hang around for a second. And,
Oh yeah, had a blast.
man,
Thank y'all for having me.
dude, we can't thank you enough for coming on, and good luck for the rest of the season, man. We go to, just real quick, go to Harris, then St. Johns River, Lake Murray, Wheeler Lake, Lewis Smith Lake, Lake Champlain, and the St.
Unbelievable
Lawrence
fishing.
River. We got a long ways to go and a short
For
time to
sure.
get there, brother, but you're going to do it, and we are going to be watching. So thanks so much, and we will have you on later
Appreciate you,
this
Rob.
year.
Thank you,
man.
sir. You're a
Thank
good
y'all
man.
very much. Appreciate it.